Yes, I know. My name is Misty Gaither, and I am so excited to talk to you tonight. This is my first live on this YouTube channel. I used to be on Facebook Live all the time for like a few years on Facebook, but I wanted to bring it to YouTube and so I could meet more people and we could talk more freely about topics such as true crime and the paranormal. Now, I don't know about you, but I've just really been feeling, like the veil has been thinner here lately. And so I've had a lot of experiences that's happened to me, and I would like to tell you about some of them. Now, I was with a friend yesterday, on Saturday, and we were just talking, and, you know, it's, we were just talking about things sitting there and having breakfast, and all of a sudden, the light comes on, and boom, right where we were sitting, the light, the chandelier, right above our table goes black. And not only that, it starts swaying. And I'm looking around and I'm like, well, maybe it's just a fluke, maybe it's something that has to do with the lighting everywhere. So I'm checking and looking at the light fixtures, and trying to see, is it just me or was it, anything? But no, it was just our table, and only the light above our table was out. My friend looked at me and said, "Do you have a message for me from the other side?" And actually, as he said that, a spirit, did step forward, and I had received a name. And so I didn't want to say anything at that time because I feel like that it was, like we were in really close quarters and what, that the discussion would lead to. I didn't want it to be just like totally out there. And so I'm going to use aliases and stuff here with y'all. And it's just us, and I could probably just talk. I know y'all aren't going to tell anybody else. But um, so I sent him a text later on in the day and I said, "Does the name, I don't know, Richard mean anything to you?" And he's like, "Yeah, it does." And so I said, "Richard told me to tell you that when I tell you his name, you're going to know the message and the decision that you're having trouble making, that once you hear his name, you'll know what to do." And so right there, as I'm eating my scrambled eggs, and I think I had a little bit of ham, and I know I had a biscuit. So anyway, as this is all happening. So it was really interesting. You never know when spirit is going to come up, because you just never know. They don't think like us. So I just wanted to share that little moment that, like I said, we're just having breakfast, having a moment, with friendship, just enjoying each other's company. And then all of a sudden, bam, that happens. And so never take for granted the message that spirit, um, you know, maybe wants to share with you. I'll say hi to Miss Marva and Crystal. Crystal, Brandon should be coming on soon. But let me tell you what else happened this week. It was the same day, not long, not long. So I don't know about y'all, but okay, tell me what you honestly think of this. So, my friend Dina Lally, she's the owner of Mystic Path, and she's been a guest on my show on on Quest, Journey into True Crime and the Paranormal. And her shop, she's going to be relocating it. So she was having this sale, and so I wanted to go and show her some support. So I walk in her shop, and guess what I saw? It kind of drew me in. Why? I don't know. Maybe that but I wanted to share this with you. So I saw this, and I had to have it. So, ta-da! It's the cutest. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a pimp cup, no, but it is a definitely an ornate cup, and so you'll see me sipping on it. But I was drawn to it, and You know, I don't know if it's me, but it does make everything taste a little bit colder. So, as we're in this Christmas time, I was wondering, you know how sometimes that you can incorporate things like Christmas, Halloween, they have movies that are incorporated together. Do you have a story or do you have a favorite Christmas movie that maybe has a little spookiness to it? And when I tell you mine, you might laugh. I don't know. But I really like The Muppets Christmas Carol. I do. And that's it. And I stand by it and I'm not ashamed. And if you love the Muppets Christmas Carol, so that, that's a pretty cool thing. So anyway, I was thinking about the spooky scene in it, the one from, when the ghosts come before the Ebenezer Scrooge goes and gets, and he starts reliving the Christmas past and all that. Well, this is the past part. When Marley and his friend, I can't remember all that right now. Uh, Brandon, hey, Brandon's here, y'all. Brandon, Brandon from the show. You still quote from the Muppets Christmas Carol? See, I knew that you and I had some kind of, cosmic connection. And if you love that movie, I mean, you know that your number tops with me, so this has just raised it all the way back up. So during that scene, and they sing "We're Marley and kind of freaky, kind of creepy to me, but I don't know. Do y'all have one of your own? And Joseph Duffy of Slotaholic is here from their channel, and look, I actually have a Slotaholic cup, and I'll try to remember to use it next week. But this right here, let me tell you, I feel like regal with this cup. I don't know what it is, if it's the wolf. And I was actually going to ask y'all if you wanted to help me, like, name this wolf. It's like the wolf times four, or is it three? I don't know. Anyway, we could do that. And yeah, Brandon, we're freezing our ass. Yes, I love that book, and then they like light fire, and they have the coal and all that. It's a wonderful movie, and so far at the house, and I also wanted to kind of warn y'all. Normally Quest is always filmed, in a professional studio, and hey, you're right, Jill from the Nickel Tree. It's a Wonderful Life. That is my favorite. I have it on repeat, and I think the wife, she's probably like, oh my God, here we go watching this again. But I actually go to sleep with It's a Wonderful Life, because I think that the coolest thing in the movie is how that you don't know how your life affects someone else. You think that things that you do or say may not matter to anyone or really has anything, to do. And then at the end, when Harry, the brother, says to George, the richest man in town, every time, although I've seen that movie like 50 million times, I always tear up because, you know, to have that effect on someone is something that I try to strive for, and I hope that you do too, because, even telling someone hello and kind of giving them a smile, that really means something to people, because not a lot of people smile at each other. But we're not here to talk about, smile. Well, I guess we can talk about smiling if you want. And what about this with the Harry Potter? About the Gremlins. Oh, okay. You like Brandon? You like the Gremlins? And I do want to make a confession here on live, and so I can't take it back. Y'all ready for this? I've never seen the Gremlins. Yeah, true story. True story. I don't know if that'll cost me viewers, or I don't know, maybe a divorce or something, because I don't even know if the wife knows that. But I've never seen the Gremlins. I'm. What can I do? I never have. So maybe I do need to watch it instead of watching It's a Wonderful Life every day. But hey, Joseph, you either See, and Joseph is about the same age as I, 39, and, so us not seeing gremlins, I think I'm in good company because Joseph, he's a real cool dude. Watch Gremlins 1 and 2, the new batch. Now, Brandon, you're asking for a lot, son. See, and Joseph agrees, and that's why we're greatest of friends. 39. That's right. So I'm on here, I wanted to talk to y'all about, of course, paranormal things and, you know, true crime things. Do you have a favorite case that you'd like to talk about? I mean, next week, I'm already planning for next week and the next. Wait a minute, hold up. Joseph, you play the slot machine? Which one? The Gremlins? They have a slot machine? I think they need a Josh and Joseph slot machine, to be honest with you. Maybe that's something we could work on. And then I could get my own slot machine too. Maybe, I don't know. We'll work on that. But do you have a case that something that you're interested in? I wonder why there is such a fascination of about serial killers and different murders, and there are some cases that I'm more interested in than maybe others. And is it, like, I just wonder why. And yes, Crystal, I am totally in agreement with you about the Delphi murders. Those of you who do not know, in 2017 February, I believe it was the 13th, 2017, Libby German and Abigail Williams. I mean, they were walking across the bridge there in their little bitty town. And unfortunately, they were, you know, the next day they wasn't with us no more. And, you know, it's just sad. And it took 5 years for that case to be solved. Now, do you think, we all want justice and families, press, we want this, we want this, we want. Do we put unnecessary, maybe a little bit of pressure on law enforcement to come up with something that maybe they don't follow through correctly because they feel the pressure? Because this family had to wait over 5 years for justice. I mean, and so do we start, you know, what is the fine line there? I mean, is that something we really get into? And there's cases that are now being solved after 60 years, and some of the family members aren't even left, to know that their loved ones, who killed their loved ones. And it just goes to show you that justice has no, like, it's kind of infinity, like it's. What is justice? And we got the 5 years on that. Hey, Julia, how you doing? And we have 5 years on the Libby and Abigail case in Delphi. And then we have, if you go to the Black Dahlia, which is one of my favorite cases, 1947, in January of 1947 in Los Angeles. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the Black Dahlia murder and how that it is still unsolved, and they think that they know who it is, but do they really? And so what makes these cases stand out? Is it the unsolved? Is it the unknown? Is it that we think that we are able to solve these cases ourselves, and we just, we look into these things and we research and we're trying to find that little nugget that will allow us maybe to say, because it happens. I mean, you see it on TV, you see it on the podcast, and, we see these things. And then I think somewhere in us, we have that desire where we want to solve a case. Now, Troy Taylor, Crystal, he was a guest on my show, Troy Taylor from Alton, Illinois. He is a author, for those of you who do not know. I believe he is up to like 160 books that he writes on all topics about true crime and the paranormal. And I think, my personal opinion, that it was Dr. George Hodel. Um, and Troy, I don't know if he really believes that or not. I don't think that he does. And so you'll have to really, I think his book is called, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Crystal, but I think that it's called something Fallen Angel or something like that. Not sure. But anyway, it's a good book, and I love to have different opinions because I don't want it always to be my opinion. But, sometimes I do have a strong stance on, okay, that's right, that she was pregnant and was murdered by the boyfriend. That could very well be a possibility. The only thing with that theory is I'm thinking that it has had to be maybe somebody that knew a little bit about anatomy. I don't know if the boyfriend did or not, but because she was literally cut in half and drained of blood, and so I, I don't know. Jill, Jill from the Nickel Trees on here, and I really appreciate her. You can be sure to check out her TikTok channel. And also, her episode, she is a guest on Quest. It'll be coming up in the next few weeks, and you'll really enjoy it because let me tell you, nobody can tell a story better than Jill of the Nickel Tree. Amazing storyteller. So, the Black Dahlia. And it's really twisted if you've read the Black Dahlia Avenger books by George Hodell's by his son, who was a LA detective, and how he has came up with a theory that it was his dad. And once you read that, I'm like, well, that makes sense. But then if I read another book, I don't know, you know, and you're right, Joseph Duffy, you're saying you're addicted to the old Unsolved Mystery TV show? Hell yeah. I watch that at least one episode a day. I mean, nobody but Robert Stack. Come on, was a great host, and I just love what I love is to find out the updates on the show. I like watching it, and then it'll say, "Oh, in 2017, these were captured," and then I'm real excited. Or they found their lost loved one. Yay! I'm excited about that. And then when there's no updates, I'm like, "Well, shoot." you know, is this case ever going to be solved? And sometimes I even Google them just to see if maybe the information didn't get to Unsolved Mysteries because I'm thinking that they may still have, people that follow the story so they can update. But, that show was a classic. And look at how many doors that the Unsolved Mysteries has opened up, forensic files, you know, um, so Kara watches Unsolved Mysteries too. Now, what do y'all think about the new Unsolved Mysteries, that the one on Netflix? What do y'all think about that one? I don't know, and maybe it was just being spoiled by Robert Stack or whatever. I I haven't just really, I don't know, have a like I have really meshed with the new one as much. What about y'all? Joseph, see, because we're 39, we're on that same wavelength. I just don't, I have watched some of them, and I don't know, it's just not the same feeling to me. But even when Dennis Farina, um, when he started co-hosting or whatever, I mean, I watched it some, but it's something, you know what it is? It's something about that spooky music, that theme music, especially the original until they went in and kind of like tweaked it or whatever they did. Um, but that, I mean, was just like that music, and everybody knows that music, just like the Law and Order. Dun-dun, it's familiarity. And I think, now that I'm talking, I'm thinking that that may be why some of us resonate with the old cases because it's a familiarity. We've heard about it from years. We're invested in it. We think about the family, we think about the victim, about what happened. And when dates happen, like around Valentine's, I always had thought about, for the past 5 years, I've thought about Libby and Abby and the Delphi murder case because that's when that their bodies were found. And and I think that maybe why that some cases kind of stick with us more is the familiarity of how, maybe as we're growing up or whatever caught our eye about different cases. What about have y'all heard about the John List case? I mean, I'm doing some older stuff, and I do have some newer stuff to talk about, but these are just some that kind of catch my eye, and I've seen so many. You see the forensic files, you see the unsolved mysteries. There's so many different the shows that do because some of them will kind of add in some information that that maybe that we haven't heard of before. Um, the Johnny Mill List case, it was in 1971, and he murdered his three children, his wife, and his mother in Westville, New Jersey. And I mean, that's if you don't know of a case, because what's so cool is because this kind of started the thing off with America's Most Wanted, and they had Frank Bender that did, that would make the clay and he sculpted. And if you haven't seen this episode before, I recommend that you do it, that you go and look it up and watch it and look at the accuracy that Frank Bender did on the, he did a age progression of Johnny Mill List. I think it was like 18 or 20 years between the murders and the time that he was caught, and even to the eyeglasses that he chose, that he thought that John List would be wearing, you will be just blown away. It just it's just amazing. And then back then, that was a really big deal because they didn't have the DNA and they didn't have this and that. And so, to me, at that time, doing that face, the reconstruction and the eyeglasses, and I mean, everybody was freaking out because it was just so, you know, lifelike and it was so true. And I mean, it was just amazing. And just think about how far that forensics and crime fighting tools, I guess you could say, have progressed. I mean, like we have the DNA genealogy. Look at CC Moore. I mean, she's all over TV. I like her hair. I ain't gonna wear mine like it, but for her it looks nice. But anyway, it's amazing how that they can just take some cells and go back and start here, and then they build the trees. Like the other day, I was watching a case that she was on, and I'm sorry, I forget right now, but she figured out a case from 1971 by going to the phone books in Los Angeles and looking for a name that would be a combination of Romanian and Italian. She had it solved. It was 50 to 60 years old case. And just by doing that, she solved the case, and the investigators were like, who would have thought to have done that? And it's just amazing because she was self-taught. She is, with Parabon, and it's just amazing how you think that, well, I have to have all these degrees, and they're wonderful, and of course, I'd love to have behind me 85 different degrees and stuff, but it's just amazing how some people have that tenacity, and it's like sometimes they're chosen to be able to do this work that helps so many people. I mean, it's just and so, you think about people, we do these shows about unsolved cases, cold cases, the unexplained, the unknown, or whatever. And it's like, what if something that I say or something you as a viewer says and it clicks and it makes sense that this could be solved? That that is so amazing where you could bring peace, and I speak a lot about bringing peace to people because if you haven't had peace and then you give that, to me, that is such one of the greatest gifts you could give someone Whether, you maybe you can do that in a paranormal if you're, you have the gifts and you're able, to connect the living and the dead, and to me, bringing people peace is everything. Joseph, I appreciate you being on, and y'all be sure to check out Joseph's and Joshua's channel, Slotaholic, on YouTube. They're doing amazing things. They're all over the place, but filming and at all the casinos, and I'm very proud. They're my friends, and I love them both. And thank you so much, Joseph, for watching. Um, you know, and you're right, Jill. I mean, it's amazing, and you too, Crystal. I mean, closure. I mean, think about your own life, and I'm not on here to preach or anything like that. I'll say that for a rainy day. I'm just joking. But you know, to be a bringer of peace, or to be able to give somebody closure, I don't know if there's anything that is better, or I don't even know how, like, if you did that, like, where would you go from there? Yes, Joseph. The Adventures of Purpose, guys. Yes, and then you have like Adventures with Nug, Adam Brown Adventures, all that. They are amazing. And finding these cold cases, people who have been missing for years. I mean, they did one, I think it was 40 or 50 years. The people have been submerged in water. I mean, I think they've been doing it like 4 or 5 years, and they've solved like 30 something cold cases. They go, and it's amazing to watch. And they have the sonar, and they have all this really fancy schmancy equipment, and they find these cars, and they'll go dive, and they'll find the license plate on the car, and then they'll pull it out, and the family, some of the families are there, and yeah. Hey, Gunnar, how you doing? Good to see you all the way from, I believe, Alabama, right? Um, and it's amazing that the families on, a lot of them, if they're still there, they're on um, the shore, waiting for their family. And I can't imagine their grief, and I can't imagine, what they're feeling. But when it's all said and done, it's, I can't imagine to be the one to bring that closure. I don't even swim, and so I certainly wouldn't be diving. So what if you can't swim, or you can't do this, or you can't do that? What can you do to help? Um, it may seem simple to you, and years ago, no one would thought about, well, doing the diving, and finding these bodies underwater, and these cars, and you know, just like the DNA, the genealogy. We didn't think about that, but it's something that somebody was like, "Well, I can't really give a lot of myself, but I can do this," and it turns into be a good thing. Maybe that's something that you have that you can do, that maybe to you is just like something normal, and then you don't think that it would make a difference, but in the end, it means a lot. So, um, what is our fascination with, like, serial killers? I watch serial killers, like the documentaries and things, and you know, it's not that I think they're cool or anything like that. I'm intrigued. I think after thinking it over, I'm intrigued. I want to know the why. Like, why you have a brother or sister or two brothers, whatever it is, same environment, same home, raised the same way, because all of their childhoods wasn't crappy, you know? They can't blame it all on the single moms or whatever people like to blame it on. But one will turn out good, and the other one is bad. And, you know, like, what is that? What makes that click? What makes that work? What makes them decide on, like their MO, like BTK, bind, torture, kill. Like what made him click and decide this is how I'm gonna off people. You have the happy face killer. You have the Green River killer, Gary Ridgway. That like what and then I'm like, well, I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole too deep and really get into that psyche because that's a whole level of evil that I don't want to know. When you're dealing with the paranormal too, and you're around, everything isn't Casper, everything isn't, like the show Ghost on CBS. It's all not like that. There is evil, there is bad, and so what makes that what and that, I guess that's why that I watch and I try to figure out in my own simple way is why. Why would an individual, a human being, find so much pleasure on giving pain to someone else? Oh, so Gunnar, you knew Gary Ridgway's sister-in-law? So he was from the Seattle area, I believe, in Washington, and he would go, and that's another thing. So like Gary Ridgway, he went like 2 or 3 years in between, the killing sprees, and just kind of like, he was able to control it. BTK, I believe, went, I don't know, it was over 10 years before he, resurfaced again. And so can it be controlled, or is it an evil that's kind of controls them? And, I don't know. We can talk about that. And so, Julia, you're saying that Dahmer had head trauma and he wasn't the same afterwards. Now, that's a whole can of worms there with Dahmer. I don't study a lot about him, and I don't know why, but I don't. Um, I'm really interested in, too, about the story of, they call him Lisk, Lisk, the Long Island serial killer. Um, and you know what he's doing now? He's in jail for those murders on Gilgo Beach. He is actually writing, communicating with another serial killer in jail, and they're communicating with each other. So is it the evilness that attracts to each other, or is it a spirit that's in them? Because, like I said, the rabbit hole, I don't know. BTK, he was, you're right, Julia. He had a double life, and he was the president of the church where he went, Lutheran church where he went. And, they're the ones with the mask on, and they're the ones that they appear to be normal and pretty much. And so that's, that just goes to show you don't know who's around you, you know? Jill, yeah, the spirits within them. I have this theory, and I don't know, like I said, it's maybe a rabbit hole thing, but I study a lot about axe murders. Starting with here in New Orleans, the Axe Man in New Orleans, and the people who watch my show, they hear me speak about the Axe Man a lot, or axe murders. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's something there that we'll have to look into, but that I believe that there is a connection with axe murders. Not all of them, but maybe some that had happened before, like Belisca, 1912. Um, and you had the Axeman, 1918, 1919. What if it's a spirit that goes and has someone to do its bidding? Because if you think about it, the majority of axe murders it's never, a lot of them aren't solved. And so why is that? You know, Lizzie Borden, 1892. But you also want, like we think about, the connection or whatever, the Liska Axe murder house, the Lizzie Borden house, and even though it's not a serial killer house, it's some kind of evil something going on, the Sally house in Kansas. They all have the same numerical, 508. Okay. The Liska murder house in Villisca, Iowa, and the Sally house, 508 State Street. Lizzie Borden is not 508, excuse me, but hers is State Street. 3 street names identical. 2 of them, the numericals match. Just a thought. So that's something that I'm just working on to see if maybe that it is something or maybe it's not. Another case that really stands out for me, and I think that maybe it's because that it happened as a child. It's not an unsolved murder. It's um it's kind of like the one where I want to know the why. Down the rabbit hole. That's what I do. But Jim Jones, that case, is just maddening how one man can cause so much destruction. And then it's sad that the people who followed him, you know, it's sad that they felt maybe they didn't have a choice or they felt the loyalty or whatever that they were feeling. It was just sad about the destruction, the 900 and something lives that were lost that day. We joke about the Kool-Aid and hey, Kool-Aid, and don't drink the Kool-Aid, and, blah, blah, blah. And I heard a rumor that it really wasn't even Kool-Aid. I think it was Flavor Aid. I don't know. But, that's another case that intrigues me is that. So, Gordon, you were talking about the Green River Killer. What's another case that interests you? And and you're right. It could also, like you're saying, your comment, you don't think it's evil as much as a disoperative brain function. And it could very well be that. My theory and my thoughts about the evil spirit or whatever, it may not even be, you know, plausible. It's just something that I, just thought about and, you know, you never know. There's so many cases, that we can talk about and it's just the case that I was talking about earlier, about being solved that CC Moore had done, was like 60 years old. And can you imagine? But she did have brothers and sisters that were still alive, and they were still fighting, and it's just amazing. So you like the Ted Bundy case? I don't know a lot about the Ted. Well, I know a little bit about it. I know, that I believe that a 12-year-old girl was the last one that he had murdered. And yes, he did. He seemed so normal. And the crime author, the true crime author Anne Rule, she even worked with him at I think maybe a volunteer place for some kind of, I don't know exactly, but anyway, she worked with him and she wrote a book and it started her career as a true crime. Yeah, Kimberly Leach, that was the one. Thank you. And so, it looks normal. And he was handsome. How, they're not going to get people like Ted Bundy, whatever. He wasn't going to be able to get people to come to, hey, come over to my car. I got this puppy or whatever the hell he said. You know, um, yeah, the suicide prevention. Thank you, Gunnar. I appreciate that. You too, Julia. But you have to. They have to look somewhat normal. except Henry Lee Lucas. Now, he didn't look normal to me with his confessions, that they found out. So a lot of them wasn't even so. And so I think a lot of them that they probably, law enforcement were probably like, yeah, he did it. Case closed. Let's move on. But that's not just judgment. Good night, Gunnar. I thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Have a good night. So yeah, Ted Bundy had a really high Q, and the majority of serial killers do. They're not. It takes a pretty good brain to figure this out and not be caught and come up with all these ruses and stuff. So I think what I'm going to do too. Charles Manson, yeah, because you think about it, it's like what 1969, we had the Sharon Tate murders, which was really, that said everything is how do women throw their self. You know what, Crystal? That is a very good point. How do people, like, you have the serial killers in jail, and the media, I mean, what these people did, and the capabilities that they have to, and they have women lined up to marry them and to give them money, put money on their books or whatever. What the hey? What does that say about us as women? Where, oh, we have this serial killer here. He looks real hot, so he must be nice. I don't get it. What are your thoughts? Because I'm just like, who does that? I mean, like they initiated, like Chris Watts, who murdered his family, those two little girls and his wife who was pregnant. And he has, well, he's cute, he's fine, so let's just send him letters right and left. Who does that? What is that saying about people as individuals? Oh my God. Ooh. I mean, how do you even send out invites to the wedding or register anyone? Hi, I'm marrying the serial killer, and we want this real cute, um, I don't know, crystal or whatever you get. I mean, like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Crystal, yeah, the Watts case, that is something that, when it first happened, like, I listened to a lot of podcasts about it, and, I did some research, and then finally one day I kind of had to let it go about that case because it just really affected me, especially, when I found out, how the little girls' bodies, and I'm not going to get into all that here, but people can Google it or whatever, but the way that he did their bodies and their mom and then lied, and there's some evil there that I don't want to know. you know they have, yeah, I do too. I hope they haunt his dreams. And then what I couldn't understand was, how could the warden let Chris Watts, who annihilated, sorry, country, annihilated his family, and he allowed him to have a picture of them in his cell. He killed them. How did I don't get that, do y'all? It doesn't make sense. And I mean, now he's blaming everything on Nicole, which I believe she was there. I don't know if y'all believe that or not, but I do believe that she was there and helped with the killings. And it was just, it's just one of those cases that, everybody has that case, and every case I think hits people in different ways. And that was just one that I just had to, I had to let go. Matter of fact, a couple of days ago, something popped up on my like my For You page, and it had something. I was like, oh, let me just watch. I couldn't even get like 3 minutes in, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So I'm really excited about, bringing this live to you. I want to do it. Joseph's back. Harold Shipman. Now, I have finally been stumped, unless I just don't recognize the name, because I'll take serial killers for 500, Alex. Ding, ding, ding. But who's Harold Shipman? Does anybody know him? Well, we'll get back about Harold Shipman. But what I was saying was, I'm really looking forward to all these lives. Next week, I want to talk to y'all about. We're gonna have to Google it, Crystal. I appreciate Chris. He was a doctor. Oh wait, hold up. Harold Shipman. Tell me a little bit more about him. Harold Shipman. It sounds familiar. But next week, y'all really will have to set your reminders because next week we're going to talk about the paranormal field and medical field and how they coexist. Because believe me, there's some stories there that you won't want to miss. I'm actually going to have someone on with me, and we're going to talk about that. It has firsthand knowledge of some paranormal stuff going on. So we got that coming up. I have so many topics that I want to talk to you about. Um, maybe we're going to kind of delve into, in a week or two, we're going to delve into some cult activity. I could tell you a little bit about how I was brought up, and we could talk about that later. Yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to be every Monday, unless I win the lottery. No, I'm just joking. I'll take y'all, but I'll be at like a fancy, or if I win the lottery, I'll still go live, but it'll be like fancy and stuff. But yeah, same time, 8 o'clock, Monday, same time and same back channel right here. And I hope that y'all enjoy talking with me on these subjects. And I know I have really enjoyed tonight. And I love, everybody's theories and opinions. And that's what makes the world go round. And yes, the Paranormal 911 was good. And so what we're going to do is we're next week. Stay tuned. Get your medical story. If like maybe your grandmother, aunt, uncle, brothers, sisters, mothers, friends, sister may have been, in the medical field, or perhaps you are. But if you have some stories and stuff that you would like to tell about, maybe seeing some things, like lots of times hospice nurses, you know, they, you know, they, they've had experiences that they want to share, or maybe they passed it on to you, and we can talk about that next week. And I appreciate it if, like Joseph said, tell your friends and be sure to like and share the channel. And we appreciate everything. I'm enjoying bringing the interviews with you on Quest every week. That's it premieres every Sunday around 11 a.m. And but I wanted to take this time, a little bit more time personally with you, and to talk kind of one-on-one, back and forth with like-minded individuals to kind of see what we're all thinking about. And hey, Julia, I didn't know that you work at a vet and next to a graveyard. Well, girl, you you're just chocked full with stories too. So I'll be looking to hearing uh, from some stories from you. We all have stories. And so, the most important thing we can do is listen to each other and share. So that's what we're going to do. And I can't wait to hear from you. Be sure to tell your friends, and let's just get this going and just share with each other and have our own little community here. And I appreciate you taking time out of your Monday evening and kicking it off here with me. And I hope that you really have a really great rest of the week. Wait, hold up. You're a teacher? Hey, check you out. And a vet tech. And I'll be happy to next week, Julia, to listen to your stories. And let's just do it. And I will see you here next week, 8 p.m. Central. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate you.